Maggie's heart struck the ground without realizing she'd tumbled. The earth whirled around her, fire scorched her chest, crimson seeped through the ripped fabric of her gown, tracing a sinister streak along her leg that chilled her to the core. Her dad had passed mere months earlier. His resting place remained raw beneath the cottonwoods near their modest shack. Yet the burden he bequeathed didn't vanish with his last breath. It sprouted fangs, it donned heavy boots, it earned a reputation that every rancher near Laramie dreaded: Silas Crawley. In the initial weeks following her father's departure, Silas merely demanded cash. The following month, he forced entry and eyed her like livestock up for bid. Come the third, he arrived at dusk, no longer veiling his demands for barter instead of coin. This evening marked the fourth. Her cycle had returned once more, but fortune cracked like decayed timber this round. She'd held firm as he lunged. She'd thrust him back with all the terror and unyielding spirit she could muster. He staggered, spat oaths, then yanked a blade from his boot sheath. She refused him yet again. That single syllable ignited the fuse. The steel gleamed. It raked her thigh in a lengthy superficial gash, sufficient to gush fiercely, yet shallow enough to spare her life. She sank to her knees, palms clutching at her skirt, her gasps her very existence. Silas bent close, his exhale reeking of rot gut, and warned her of one final grace period for the funds, or he'd haul her to the upper floors of the Laramie establishment, that notorious den from which no woman emerged unaltered. He abandoned her seeping on the veranda, discarded like refuse awaiting collection. She dragged herself, inch by inch along the planks till her nails scraped soil. Then, unsteady and quaking, she hauled upright, murmuring her father's name despite knowing he'd departed ages ago. The orb dipped beyond the Medicine Bow peaks. Each stride threatened to claim her final one. Her brow blazed with delirium, the slash pulsed with heat, sights blurring in pairs. Yet she pressed forward, for halting would summon Silas anew. Amid the parched meadow, a humble homestead emerged. Wisps curled from its stack, rails mended soundly. A haven gleaming in a realm long hostile to her. She reached its stoop before her limbs buckled utterly. She crashed against the planks, fingers slid in her own slickness, lips parted for aid, but merely a fractured murmur escaped. "Please." Within that dwelling dwelled a fellow weary of strife. Ethan Cole, 48, silent as granite, a bereaved soul who'd incurred ample sorrow to shun another's woes. Still, as he emerged onto the deck and beheld her sprawled, fractured, and shuddering, a dormant force stirred within, deliberate and ancient. He crouched near, he laid palm to her gash, he sensed her recoil. Grasping this bore no mishap's mark. Another had sought to shatter her, nearly prevailed. Now the query poised to shape their destinies lingered in Wyoming's sweltering breeze.
Would Ethan Cole spurn her, echoing the dismissals of prior souls? Or dare the impossible, yielding to destiny's tug into a skirmish he'd forsaken eternally? Maggie recalled no blackout's onset. She floated through a prolonged vigil of delirium. Ethan remained vigilant at her side, dabbing her brow with damp linen, refreshing the wrap each time it saturated. He steeped a tart infusion from willow root and urged sips beyond her teeth, praying it'd tame the blaze. One instant, porch slats pressed her face. The next, soothing liquid bathed her limb. Gentle grips, too, firm yet tender. Eyes fluttering open, she spied the rafters of a cozy spread. Coarse timbers, golden rays filtering past, and a stranger hovering above with an expression neither alarmed nor irate, nearer to concern. Ethan Cole had borne her indoors with utmost delicacy, unhurried and precise, though she weighed more than appearances from hemorrhage and fatigue. He swabbed the crimson from her flesh with the forbearance of one versed in mending gashes aplenty. He toiled hushed, composed, as if loath to startle. Afterward, rousing briefly, to glimpse him dozing in the rocker, frame sagged, tunic sweat-soaked from the endless febrile vigil. Tears welled unbidden. Attempting to rise, he steadied her with a palm on her collarbone, urging repose. His timbre rumbled deep, eroded like a muddied lane post-storm. Not soft per se, but earnest enough to constrict her heart. Maggie yearned to voice, yet dread sealed her lips. Suppose he banished her? Suppose inquiries delved too far? Suppose Silas's shadow branded her mere hazard? That notion knotted her gut. Ethan discerned her fright. He drew a seat to the cot's flank, easing into it leisurely, granting space for her ease. Then she noted his palms, calloused, etched with toil's tales, limbs forged by relentless labor, yet he tended her tear with uncanny finesse, attuned to its ache. At last she breathed gratitude. He dipped his chin, seeking no recompense. He noted her heavy toll and fluid, yet survival assured. He offered sanctuary here till eve, perchance dawn too, till steps steadied sands quiver. Such grace brimmed her gaze anew, for none had granted sands extraction since paternal loss. Stillness enveloped the chamber, save zephyrs sighing o'er pastures. Maggie surveyed sturdy confines, polished implements, racks of preserved staples. Security enveloped her, a sensation foreign to navigate. Ethan rose to tend hearth and range. He probed not the slicer's identity, nor her solitude's cause. But inquiry loomed. His sort overlooked naught, and when voiced, one riddle he'd evade not. That eve, well past her slumber's claim, Ethan perched watchful by her pallet, tracing fever's tide in her pallor. In her shivers, echoes of a cherished ghost surfaced, one he'd shielded poorly long prior. To shadows he vowed no repeat of that lapse. What malice etched peril so deep into her form? Ethan posed his probe at morn's break, as dawn pierced drapes, gilding motes afloat. Voice even, stance level. He perched chair's rim by the berth, forearms on thighs, poised like one schooled in equine whispers pre-storm. Maggie feigned deafness initially. Quilt claimed her stare, afraid fiber her toy. But Ethan's forbearance endured, overlong. She unspooled the tale, measured, unhurried. Paternal fade, lingering ledger, Silas's monthly sieges, his gaze possessive as chattel. Menaces mounting, steel drawn, vital flow, her blind stagger into void, beseeching collapse ere recapture. Ethan held mute throughout. No curses, no blows, none of the rancher's fury she'd braced in such yarn. Merely a seat's creak, mandible clenching till space shrank, atmosphere taut for his intent. Tale done, he acknowledged curtly, rose, mumbled need for air.
Exited, delay stretched. Maggie spied his circuits across the enclosure, heels stirring earth puffs. Such strides betrayed buried regrets unearthed. Re-entering at length, she queried his aid's route. Ethan fixed boot-scuffed planks ere replying soul. None rose for mine when dire, I'll not witness anew. Thus dawned his depths, no lone herder, but a vessel of unvoiced voids. Post-reveal, poise returned, yet storm-bred. He decreed no solo return to the hut. Silas's grasp denied henceforth, uttered stark, immutable. First since loss, earth firmed neath Maggie. Hope stung oddly, raw after famine, yet bloomed there, in that humble hold, neath medicine bow vault. Come dawn, Ethan escort to Laramie, defy Silas, defy all deeming her frail, encounters reshaping sagas eternal, those quelling chaos or igniting inferno. Crave the clash as Ethan strides Laramie, gaze forged, strike subscribe lest next chapter evade. Meanwhile, sip warmth and share your hour, your locale as you tune in. Ethan and Maggie cantered to Laramie next dawn, amid a hush pulsing like a vein. Settlement stirred, plumes from vents, steeds hitched, gents emerging from tavern, brims tipped, lids lazy. Maggie clenched commel, thigh throbbed, dread deeper. Each clip-clop neared her would-be proprietor, bartered cheap. Ethan flanked, unswayed as sentinel oak in gale. Wordless, needless, chisel jaw, gaze locked townward, revisiting a specter shunned. Halting saloon side, loiterers parted. Ethan Cole's dawn aura worded proximity. Silas Crowley lounged deck rail, mug steaming, grin curdling her innards. He hailed, "Behold the return, debt waif and grizzled spreadman aping night." Ethan advanced, declared repayment coin alone, affirmed her sheltered now, no drags to boudoirs overhead. Too serene, suffocating hush, Silas guffawed, volume drawing trough-side gazes, scoffed at directives from dust-clad drovers, lunged for her limb, mere digits evoking blade, spill, pleased to soil for sanctuary. Ethan interposed swift. Silas scarce traced the vice on his arm, forged by forge and timber lifetimes. Blink, extension thwarted, barrier erected. Glare flinty, murmur for intimates. Graze anew, witness fallout. Silas's cronies pawed irons, but Ethan's sidelong glare, lethal promise mid-draw, stilled them. None recalls inaugural yell. Memory clings to one report's roar, avian exodus from eaves. Reverberation waned. Silas reeled porchward, paw staunched, gawking at tumbled six-gun in grit. Haze parted, stares penned Ethan. Not terror, but verdict's weight, his medals measure. Query hung keen in breathless blaze. Retreat from fray or plunge to inescapable strife. That solitary plume ghosted Laramie ward, languid and wan, blind to its toll. Spellbound stasis gripped all, even mounts rigid, pricks alert for fortune's tilt. Silas writhed earthbound, vice on gash, hisses venomous. Ethan spared life, halted soul, as one halts viper slithering childward. Marshal Barnes elbowed throng, star askew, temper frayed. Glimpsing Maggie, tremor veiled atop mount, masking night's scar. He queried event. Maggie bared verity, unsparing. Timber fractured, gaze unyielding. Bared slash, welts lingering. Post-paternal void, first utterance sans diminishment. Anchored, attended. Scant females ventured crowd's fringe. Sufficient, though, Silas's echoes in their trials, attempts, terrors indelible. Lawmen hearkened beyond norm, deemed Silas jailed pending probe, till ire ebbed lest graver sins. Justice unforeseen for Maggie. Ethan remounted her mute, palm bolstering, resolute and toasty, seal of enduring alliance. Ranch return, solstice glow bathed meadows. Maggie perched stoop, Ethan mending barriers. Month's first unclasped breath, ribs fear-free. Mend crept incremental. In crisp linens, secure chambers, in Ethan's murmur to stock. Oft unseen clashes forge fiercest. Oft it manifests as shattered paths aligning. So ponder that morn's rider you would intercede, shield Maggie from Silas kin, or spur past banking on another's valor. Stirred slightest, like, subscribe, spread to kinsouls, secure sequels. Here now brew comfort,